Alright, YouTube's different to Twitch. There we go. Now we're live. Alright. I forgot how different YouTube streaming is to Twitch streaming. On Twitch, I just click go and it goes. Where YouTube, I've got to click go on one page and then click go on another page and make sure that everything's updated because I haven't updated my graphics driver for over a year on this computer. It's almost like I don't use it very much. But, hey, I have chat there, I have stream stats there, I have painting here. We will get through this. So yeah, what I'm working on, because the Wargaming club locally shut down ages ago. I really should have the camera over there. Too late to fix that now. I'll remember that for next time. But it's actually starting up again next week. So I'm trying to get some shatterpoint stuff finished, because I've only just started doing shatterpoint. Painting the models, I only got the box like 2 weeks ago. I want to have some stuff there for people who are interested in shatterpoint, so they can test it out. This is a new set of brushes, so I'm going to make sure I check all my sizes. So I'm going to start with the clones. I also have here 2 lots of battle droids to work on. And this guy, which is, his name is Kalani. He's the super tactical droid. If it focuses. So yeah. And it's the first time using half of these brushes. I used a couple of the smaller ones, but I have not used most of the ones in this set. When I say this set, that one, it's up there. I've got a set when I was at ArcFest this year, according to Gameology, and they had them on the shelf at a decent price. And I'm like, well, I'm going to buy those and try them out because they're new brushes and I love new stuff. They've been quite good. So my plan for today is to work on the clones, and the first part I want to get done on the clones, because the camera is having trouble focusing on the white, I want to start getting the blue down, because they're 501st guys. They're 501st clone troopers, which means blue markings. And some of the blue markings are easier than others. By that I mean, the first bit of blue, I really would like to have that zoomed in more, but the more I zoom it in, the more detail I lose and the harder it is for the camera to focus. The first part is going to be the shoulder pads. So I just base coated these in a Vallejo grey primer, airbrush primer. You can see over there, I have an airbrush booth set up. Actually, that there in the future will be a camera mount. I will be able to have camera footage of the airbrush booth. So in time, if I can get back into doing some more regular streaming, now that I'm doing some physio and I have a new chair out here, I can do that. I have considered swapping to doing my streams on Twitch for this. I stream on Twitch for my gaming stuff. But I'm still unsure about pulling the trigger and actually streaming painting on Twitch as well. I would have to make up a second. See what I mean about the camera losing focus? I would have to start up a second channel. Now, I did also have loaded on here for reference for me pictures of the markings on the clones. That's right. Because there's 2 of them the markings on one are slightly different than the markings on the other. If I stick with the ones that are on the box art. Some of the markings are going to be a lot easier. Oop. Oh no. Who needs a base? Who needs a base to paint stuff with? I'm going to need to clean that up because just as that snap was just a bit of paint on them. And that's rather inconvenient. But I can make it work. It'll be fine. That's the motto around here, remember? No matter how much I screw up, it'll be fine. I know it's been a while, but the motto is still the same. My plan was to put a little blue line there. And then on this side will be the same. Just around the wrist, a little blue line. I'm not going to be too stressed about everything. I just want them to be obviously 501st troopers. Now, that's a mistake that I've made before. I need that on live chat, not on top chat, because otherwise it hides half my messages when people start to reply. So if you have tried to reply, I'm sorry. I'm just going to put some markings on the chest. Now, I'm not going for 100% screen accurate markings. I'm just using the markings that are there as a bit of a guide, I think. Because there are a lot of 501st troopers, and a lot of them have their own separate markings they put on their armor. The same is true of I should put this a little more central. The same is very, very true of Obi-Wan's guys. The markings that Waxer, Boyle, and Cody all have are all very different. So I'm just going to use stuff as a bit of a guide, the artwork for the cards. But if I do have something a little bit different, it won't matter. The fact that I'm freehanding all these markings is very nerve-wracking. I hate freehanding at the best of time, but I'm trying to learn to deal with that. I just screwed a bit up, right? Fix that up later. That's not perfectly symmetrical, but I think we can tell that guy is 501st. They typically don't have any marks on their knee pads, except for Rexy Boy does, because Rex is the only one of the clone troopers in this pack that is actually named. So his markings I will try and get a little more screen accurate. The reason I'm starting off with the blue as well is so the camera can focus a little better. it was having trouble with the lighting earlier as I was testing things. It was having a lot of trouble with the lighting, picking up the details on the clone. So I edited some of the settings and some of the balance for the camera. It was set to the wrong white balance. It was set to the wrong contrast. And that's fixed most of it. But the autofocus, I could turn the autofocus off, I suppose. But then I've got to hold everything perfectly in the right angle. The autofocus was just picking up a white blob rather than picking up a clone trooper. So I figured by adding some extra colors, that's why you can see there's some tan airbrushed onto the base. Coincidentally, anyone out there, if you know where I can get shatterpoint bases that are blank so that I can build my own stuff on them, please let me know. I'm not a fan of these pre-molded bases. They do the job. They very much do the job. But I would like to add some character into my guys. I don't know how I'm going to do that. It's kind of hard to do some of it because you can make very varied teams. Go around there with the blue. And around there. Yeah, over the last week I've been assembling stuff. I've been getting some of the terrain base coated. I've painted up Darth Maul. Darth Maul is already up on my shelf where I can't quite reach him while I'm streaming. Widen that out. Doing there. Well, actually, that's going to be because these are phase 2 helmets, I'm pretty sure. So they have the wider markings. No, not markings. The wider, like visor part on the nose. Aim for some symmetricality here. I'd almost like for the for like all of my Jedi stuff to be, or Republic stuff, to be like based on like Geonosis or something, and add a bit of dirt and stuff to add some character to the armor. I'm not sure how that'd play with how the list building works, because you can, from what I understand, you can very much mix and match good guys and bad guys, and there. See that you can mix Rebellion era with Republic era. So that's going to be the markings on this guy. Focus. Focus. Markings right there. Can go a little bit further down because you can see that. Right. And then we have Rex. Good old Commander Rex. Trusty Rex. So, Rex is going to be the one that's got the pain in the backside marking. Because his markings are his own. And it's a lot of stripes. And it's a really difficult model to put the stripes on. Let's start with going down there. Try and make it so you guys can see. Sorry about the yelling in the background. But these lines go all the way down, including down the front of his leg. Have a sippy break. So, the water on the brush. Don't mess up the bristles. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think his markings actually go down further on his leg than that. I think that's as far as I'm going to do it anyway. Slowly build it up, creep towards my imaginary line, and then I can fill it in. Yep. That was the air compressor kicking on because I was airbrushing stuff earlier, and I didn't turn it off. Easy fix. Rex doesn't have any chest markings. He has helmet markings. Some of them are not so great to do. Also there. Now, at different parts of the Clone Wars, the gaps on his shoulders are black. On other parts of the Clone Wars, they're white. I'm going to do them with the white in the middle, in the gaps. And it's going to take 2 coats on this, I think, try and get the blue built up properly. And then he's got blue down his arms. And a blue stripe on his shoulder that it's going to be really hard to see. Hopefully it comes out looking somewhat straight. You can't really see that very well. I have messed up and put a bit of blue where there should be white there. But that's okay, I can fix that up as I go. Fix it up in post. Not really have post-production, but you know what I mean, I can fix it up later. Same as if I end up with a stripe that's a little bit too thick. Kids are getting told off. They've been very rowdy all day. I'm sure anyone watching knows how kids can be. Apparently they're harassing the dog this time. Back here. Yeah, that darkens up quite nicely now. Some of the artwork for Shatterpoint has them with a lighter blue. I'm doing darker blue, just so that I can get. I'm experimenting with contrast, not contrast paint, just having more contrast in my models, so brighter brights and darker darks. To try and push a little bit of visual interest. Now, this is going to be the interesting and hard part. I'm starting to run out of paint on my palette. There's these fine little lines there. Rough enough is good enough. Yes. Nope, that's not work so well. That works. A little bit of water on the finger. And that gets those parts done. And then around the border here. Yep. Alright, that's not working. Too much water there for the moment. Alright, that's fine. I'll just let that dry for now. And then I'll get some more blue. And I'll go through and I'll do another coat of blue on the other troopers. And have another sippy break. For the punters at home, the blue I'm using is Games Workshop's Cantor Blue. I know Games Workshop paints. People hate them. They're what I have easy access to. Games Workshop are evil. I was working in a game store that only stocked Games Workshop paints. That's where most of my collection came from. And since I'm an army painter first, I tend not to swap my paints out because I've used a lot of these paints on existing armies that I have. And I really do not want to have to try and go through and find exact matches in other brands for paints so that I can keep painting my army. this here. God damn it. I swished. I got to swish. Sorry. Fix it up later. There's going to be a different white over top of the some of the spots in the armor anyway, to add brighter highlights. Yeah, even just adding that little bit of blue makes a huge difference on the model. What the hell was that artifact? A little visual glitching there. Last time I had that, I need a BIOS update. I probably need a BIOS update anyway. Like I said, this computer doesn't really get used. Also, I find it really weird that there's no playing category on YouTube and Twitch for mini painting, for streams. To me, that seems a little odd. Painting streams and art streams in general are slowly becoming more popular, especially stuff like graphics design and traditional painting and stuff like that. I'm surprised there isn't a dedicated category for it. The closest I found was there's some people who just put their game in as playing Warhammer on Twitch. But that's not entirely what's going on, especially if you're painting a different game. Back to Rexy boy. Now, let's try this again. He has blue around there. And then in the actual visor will be black. That will be easy to do because I'll use contrast paint for that. That is exactly what I find contrast paints are good for. Second coats over these markings. I'm not too fussed if they're a little bit faded on the edges, as long as the main color along the center is pretty opaque, I believe is the word. Yes, opaque is the word I'm looking for. Flatten that out a little. There we go. Brush soap. So just a little bit of water, a little bit of the soap. Try and make sure that any of the paint pigment doesn't stay stuck in there. People ask me how to take care of your brushes. That stuff. If your brush is really, really, really bad, that stuff and keep it away from plastic. It will eat certain types of plastic. As I discovered last time I used it. But it also sucks so much paint out of your brush that you don't know what's going on. Like, you could be sure that you cleaned your brush better than that, and it says no, you didn't. Check my brush sizes. I want a double O. There's my double O. Alright. For the visors, and for some of the other details, the visor is what I want the double O for. Black Templar contrast, because it will, for the most part, work very well and just run into the gaps. Do not use contrast paints on large areas unless you expect a mottled look. It is very blotchy, it is very mottled, but it can be very handy if that's the look you're after. Now, this guy, into the visor there, and just down the center there. The rest of the stuff on him, probably do with a bigger brush. Nope. Nearly knocked over Kalani. Then the same thing here. You're not going to notice as much on this guy, but still going to do it. And then for Rex, the same thing. Paint very carefully along there. And then just a little line up the center. To give that proper visor. Then put that back on and get my number 1 back out. I should probably use number 2 for this. Here we go, number 2. We have some weapons and armor patches to paint. So, because I'm using the contrast paint, I'm just going to paint it on and let the contrast paint do its thing. I find that highlighting these weapons is more trouble than it's worth. And contrast paint on small areas like this, it's exactly what it's good for. Tap off a little bit, because I've got a little bit too much. And the red gaps there. Back of the knee, not so much. Also, here. And these parts here will probably get a second coat of contrast, depending on how it looks when it's finished. And that's damn near a complete clone trooper. And that's why I decided to go with clone troopers and stuff tonight, because they're going to be nice and easy. I don't have all the time in the world today to get stuff done. Slap that on there. There. Around the side. But I've been itching to get some paint streams going again. If you don't know why I stopped streaming, I was dealing with severe back pain. To the point where I couldn't walk without a cane many days. I couldn't do everyday things like shower at some points. At one point it was like a week between being able to shower. I was kind of screwed. And then we finally found out why. And it turns out, without me knowing it, when I was younger, young and dumb, I broke my spine. Sometime more than 15 years ago, and the reason my body has slowly started getting worse, had slowly been getting worse, and one of the reasons I'd quit being a chef was because of the pain, and now we know why. There's their owls. Just had to double check that. A little bit more paint got on there. I'm okay with this looking a little grey rather than black. Not okay with that. Make sure that you put the lid on before you shake your contrast. Do not shake an entire tub of basilicanum grey while you are on stream and don't have the lid on. You only make those type of mistakes once. Add just a little bit more there. That one's looking a little too grey. And then this guy. This is exactly how I do my weapons on 40k models now as well. Black Templar is fantastic for doing bolt guns and stuff like that. It's only certain like special weapons and stuff where I actually paint them in a more traditional paint. Like I'm still painting right now, it's just not a traditional paint. I don't mean to make it sound like if you're using contrast, you're not painting. Whatever gets your models on the tabletop is good enough. I just saw on the side of his face, there is a black mark. Just wet it, dry your brush, and then wick up the water. I'm not going to use these brushes for what I have planned for battle droids. While I wait for the contrast paint to dry, I'm going to go with an even messier method for the battle droids. That one's got... I dropped a drop of water on there. Where is my paint that I want? Gotta be on the side somewhere, isn't it? My paint rack is a mess. There it is. Seraphim Sepia. I don't want that. I don't want this brush. My crappy slap on the shade brush. And on these guys, that's just going to finish off that battle droid look that they have. I worked this out when I was doing some basing stuff, but that's damn near the perfect shade for a battle droid. The base coat on these, by the way, is Xandri Dust. So Xandri Dust plus Seraphim Sepia, whatever you want to call it. It's damn near the perfect battle droid recipe. It just takes a little bit longer to dry than I would normally like. Because I'm impatient. And there we go. And we'll hit some contrast on the weapon and stuff as well after this has dried. I'm sure there would be a single paint that is closer to Battle Droid color than Xandri Dust. But I like the way the two interact. Also, in the cards for the core set battle droids, they have the red markings on them. I'm not doing that. I'm going to keep these guys plain, except for one model on each base is going to have the yellow commander markings. The yellow, like, squad commander markings. Because I think that suits the endless tide of battle droids. I do really would think, or what I would love to see, is for the clones in particular, to see them bring out like a clone trooper pack, because I think they're a slightly different scale to Legion. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anyone has Legion clone troopers versus Shatterpoint clone troopers, let me know. I think they're a slightly different scale, and what that does is mean that I can't use Shatterpoint bases and just throw clone troopers from Legion on there and mix and match and have, say, Anakin and Ahsoka leading a huge army of clones with Commander Rex. Wipe that up. Take a sippy break. Next up is Kalani. Now, this green is a little bit off for what Kalani is, but I have a solution for that. That green is wire flesh. This wash is Biltan green, and it should give a rather vibrant look to Kalani. that is much closer to what's on the cards. I don't remember Kalani being in the show because he was just an unnamed battle droid to me. Unnamed droid commander. Combining the Wild Flesh with the Deal 10, and I discovered this by accident as well, it looks exactly like the green on the card. Now, again, that hasn't cured properly, the paint, and I left that for like an hour. I can fix it up. Some of those areas are great. Yeah, I discovered this one by accident when I was working on Salamanders. Salamanders Space Marines. And this ended up being the recipe that I use for Salamanders Space Marines. It comes out a lot more vibrant in person than it does on the camera because the glare from the camera is not working very well for me. And that can go back into the bin tub of useless brushes that only get used every now and then. Stuff like this one, you know, the cheapy craft brushes that no one uses. I only have about 60 brushes around this bench if I go looking properly, and some of them are just rubbish. And some of them are good quality brushes that have been dirty for too long and need a good deep clean. So, as we continue on, the Cape 4 Rex, I'm going to use Eshin Grey. I think it's meant to be more like a black, but I don't want to be black. I don't have to have a black. That brush is actually going to be, yeah, it'll be right. But that paint needs a lot more mixing. Yes, I'm using a vortex mixer. I got one ages ago because I got sick of shaking paints. Shaking paints is not fun. Especially when you have to shake old paints for so long that your arm starts hurting. And then you have to keep shaking them and shaking them for another 5 minutes. That's better. Color. We can start laying this out. Now the beading around the bottom is blue again, but I will not do that beading until the rest of the model is painted. These guys are also only going to be tabletop standard for paint quality. I'm not going to be doing anything super special. I think GW calls it the battle ready paint schemes, where you're not even doing many highlights and shades and stuff like that. I will do some base highlighting and shading because I do enjoy keeping those skills up, and I am rusty, so I need to get those skills back up. Gently, gently, easy as it goes. Let the brush do the work. Remember the wise words of Duncan. 2 thin coats. Sir Duncan has much wisdom, some more wise than others, and that is the wisest wisdom he has to share. Brush along there. Paint's getting a little thin on the palette, but it'll be fine. I think my palette is a little over moisturized at the moment. Just a little bit there. It doesn't take a lot of effort to start making these models look quite respectable. If you're wondering as well what I'm doing here, the crack of your hand there, this is another one that I've learned. As you do that, try and run the tip through that crack, and it'll just help you set the tip before you store your brush. Now, I do want my number 1 again, and I want some Menstruatum Grey. Tiny little bit at the moment. I'm just going to start tidying up some of the spots that might be a bit problematic, like along there. By problematic, I don't mean I mean more like errors, fixing errors. And because this is the color I used as the base, it is the perfect color to use for touch-ups. By touching stuff up now, I should have less issues later. Ooh, that's a big spot. I wonder how that spot got there. On this one, where I messed up, was on the chest. How are we going for time so far? Oh God, where does it say how long I've been streaming for? There. I'm a professional. I know everything on my screen is. I do this all the time and I know exactly what I'm talking about. Little mark there. Little bit there. Double check that I didn't mess up anywhere else. I mean, there's a little bit of tidy up to do on Rex's helmet, but everything else looks pretty damn good. Given I was freehanding this shit. I'm not supposed to swear. Swearing's bad, okay. Alright. Now. The shade is mostly dried on these guys. So let's get some yellow going. We need commanders. The droids need a command structure. So get some yellow going. Now, Avalon Sunset is the yellow I'm using. It is not going to be the final yellow. It is not bright enough for the final yellow. The final yellow will have to be something like Flash Kits. Sorry, I was looking at my shelf full of yellows. So, the markings. Fine point. The markings of the commander are a yellow circle there. So I'm going to slowly work this out. Just very tip of the brush and work it out into a circle, or at least what is close enough to represent a circle from a distance. Brace a little bit because there's a yellow line across here on most of the droid commanders. Sorry, you can't see this very well. So there, and also the top of the head. So it follows that line there. All the way around there. It goes down onto the little back penisy looking things. Now, like I said, this yellow is not the perfect yellow for this. This is just my base coat. I want the much brighter yellow over it. So actually looking at it, it's not too bad. Yep. And The same as I did with the clones, I made a little bit of a whoopsie. I'm going to hit that with just some water. See if it'll soak up. It won't. Dry it off. I can come back and fix that with some Xandri dust later. And then on this base, we're going to do the same. This time it's going to be this guy that's going to be the commander. Slowly circle that out. That little dot there makes it really hard to get a circle. And then the line across there. And back to the head. Make that a little more bold. Maybe this is actually going to be right yellow. And then if I add a little bit of a highlight, it'll brighten up rather than painting too much extra. And while I'm doing stuff for the battle droid, silly base go away. While I'm doing a little extra for the battle droids, we might as well hit their weapons as well with the contrast. I also have primed up. I'm not sure when I'll get around to painting them, whether I'll do it on stream. Already primed up and ready to go are the Death Watch Super Commandos and the Clan Crease, I think it is. Yeah, Bo-Katan Crease. I have those ready to go. Already primed, they just need some paint. It's a good coat of the contrast on here. Under these weapons, they will have the slight Xandri dust tint. I don't think that's going to be very problematic for these guys. No one's particularly going to care, I don't think. Oh no. Do this one quickly because of that. The contrast got too close to the ferrule. I need to wash that out quickly, or I'm going to get problems with my lovely brush. I do not want to have problems with my brush. Hoping to quickly break it down. If you're getting problems with your brush splaying, that is feathering open, fix the other brush that had an issue, where it like starts splitting out like that at the sides. That's typically caused by a paint buildup in the ferrule of the brush, the metal part that's holding the brush hairs. So if you're having that problem, you're letting the paint get too close to the metal. The way you stop it getting too close to the metal is actually just by making sure you get a bit of water on your brush. If you have water already loaded in the brush when you put paint on, the paint will wick into the tip of the brush and the water will stay at the end with the ferrule and force the paint not to go in it. So you will see quite often, and many painters don't explain this, it's not explained well to new painters. The reason you want to have a little bit of water in your brush and then just wipe off the excess is to stop that paint getting there. I am not a pro painter, but because I have these tips, I like to pass them on. I would not even consider myself a good painter most days. The biggest reason I've seen people overloading their brushes is normally trying to scoop paint out of a pot. Now, that is a good argument for dropper bottles. It is also a good argument for learning how to use the paint pots. You will see, most of the time, I'm taking paint from there so I can see what's going on. Don't dunk your whole brush into the pot where you can't see the paint, because that will only lead to issues. Also, contrast paints tend not to work well with a wet palette. That is why you see that I'm using this plastic tub or straight from the pot rather than loading it onto my wet palette. there, a little bit more there, and give a good wash. So I tend to try and keep these under an hour and a half to 2 hours. For a couple of reasons. One being my back. I don't have to push it too much. Another reason being it's hard for people to sit and watch for that long. So I'm going to quickly just do a second coat on this yellow. Give it a good base to work with. And I will decide what to do next, whether I highlight or layer over top. I'm actually leaning towards at this point, just doing a highlight. And as soon as I've done this, I'm going to finish up for the night because I'm starting to get a little bit of pain. And the physio says that I'm not allowed to let my pain get above a 3 out of 10. So yeah. Physiotherapy means that maybe one day I can stand up for a full tournament again, which I would love to do. And also, I'm just going to grab some more administratum grey and just clean up here a little bit more. Some of these spots where I need to clean up to hide that blue. Will be hidden even more once I do highlight stages. This chap here, the only spot that I had to tidy up, it's this line down the armour here. From memory? Oh no, that's right, the back of his helmet. And this guy had a line on his chest. I just need to work up to that line a little bit more and drop there, a little bit there, and he's good to go. So progress has been made. I haven't really touched Kalani, but we've got Rex at a pretty decent point. I'm going to call that a pretty decent point. We have CT, whatever. He looks all right too, quite respectable. And the other CT, also looking quite good. The battle droids I'm very happy with. They're super easy. I knew that was going to be the case. Yeah, I can get on doing some more of that next time. Have a good one.